So this is gonna be a little controversial, but I think I'm back to Team Drake. I think like I was like really upset to hear that a rapper was claiming defamation
Mm.
in a rap battle, right? Like that to me, that's stupid. Like, wait a second. You lost the rap battle because the songs weren't as good as the other guys, and now you're suing and saying, well, one of those guys' songs defames me. And I thought that was dumb. And then my cousin, my nephew, he was asking me to go buy some clothes, and I was like, okay, what brands are we talking about? And OVO came up, and he had this look on his face where it's like awkward, and he's feeling like kind of sheepish about talking about it,
Mm.
and it was the angle.
Right.
And then I thought about that some more, and I thought about when that battle was happening, and really when every battle is happening, and then Drake had that I think he had like the book bag or something, and they had like, oh, I got this dirt on him, and you were always wondering like, hey, what's the next angle going to be? What dirt is going to come out? What's he going to say this time? Is he going to call him a bitch? What's he going to do? And he came out with that was the centerpiece of that song. The song was an absolute bop,
Mm.
but the centerpiece of that song was A minor. And is that fair? Is that like even remotely in the vicinity of fair? Like, you could say a lot of stuff about Drake. I've said a lot of stuff about Drake. I don't think there's ever a world where calling Drake a adds up.
No,
And I
definitely
do.
not. If anything,
No.
this whole situation has proven to us within a shadow of a doubt that Drake is apparently quite clearly not a sexual predator. When Diddy got charged by Cassie, all of a sudden we see hundreds of lawsuits come out. Drake has been smeared as some sort of sex pest by the one of the biggest rappers in the world. We've seen almost nothing come up in that regard.
Yeah. The NFL bleeped at the Super Bowl halftime show.
Right.
And the reason why they bleeped is listen to the word. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like when you hear Not Like Us, it might kind of roll off you for a second. But when you look back on that story, that's pretty aggressive. And so in the Drake lawsuit, I will say, um, I've rethought my thinking on that a little bit. Now, Not Like Us was a bop. He got crushed in that rap battle, but the use of he's going after UMG on it heavy.
Mm.
That lawsuit is advancing. It started with this pre-petition thing or whatever, but now there's a defamation case. There's three counts: defamation, then there's a count for like harassment, and then there's a count for violating New York's general business law, basically engaging in unfair, deceptive business practices. The defamation count, Universal has moved to dismiss that count. A motion to dismiss in federal court basically says, Judge, assume everything that this guy wrote in his complaint is true. Okay? Even if it's all true, we're not liable because, and Universal gets into a couple arguments. Their big argument is fact versus, they call it hyperbole or like puffery opinion. That there's facts, which you can sue for defamation, like, I don't know, if I called you a, and then there's hyperbole, which you can't sue for defamation, like if I called you a rap battle.
Mm.
I don't know about that. I don't think there's clear-cut case law on this. I think this is one of those situations where a lot of stuff happens in the world. Rarely does it happen between two people with unlimited money. And when you have a situation like this happen with two people with unlimited money, they're going to go to court and they're going to fight it out in the most detailed and comprehensive way possible. And then you force judges and lawyers to really look at it and draw the line of what you can and cannot say. This idea that Universal Music Group has that, hey, if it's a rap battle, everything is kosher. I don't know about that. I think there's stuff you can say in the context of rap that's going to be considered defamatory. So what's happening in this case, we're gonna get some real information here very soon. So I believe the motion to dismiss is being briefed. There was a lot of press reports about, oh, discovery is going forward. That doesn't mean shit. When you file a lawsuit, the other side files a motion to dismiss, you might then go and say, hey, just because they filed that motion, it doesn't mean the lawsuit should stop. We should still have discovery. I should still be able to see Kendrick's contract. I should still be able to see the deal with Universal that if they with Spotify, if they paid any money to artificially inflate these numbers or to put it out there more in the algorithm. So that discovery process, Drake's lawyers will want to go forward. And what happened, like I think 2 weeks ago, and the press was all over it. Oh, Drake's lawsuit is going to go forward with discovery. Happens all the time. This
Right.
happens all the time. One person files a lawsuit, other person files a motion to dismiss. Judge says discovery can go forward. It means absolutely nothing. What you're going to hear, I think it's in June. There's going to be a hearing on the motion to dismiss. And when that hearing happens, the lawyers are going to be in court. I'm definitely putting it on my calendar, and I'll be there. And you're going to hear from the judge on what they think. And the judge will probably issue a written opinion shortly thereafter. And if the judge says something like, hey, rap battle or no rap battle, that statement is actionable for defamation, yo, it's going to be on, because the amount of damages and just there's other angles to this lawsuit too. So I definitely think the defamation angle is very important. And then you have this general business law angle, which is Drake's claim that this company uses all these illegal business practices to make one artist look bigger than he really is. This lawsuit is very real. And my take on it is it was pretty messed up for Kendrick Lamar to call him a with no basis.
I agree. But that being said, the obvious argument that a lot of people make in response is that Drake made a variety of false allegations against Kendrick Lamar as well. He said that his manager Dave Free had fathered one of his children, most notably. I mean, does that not come into play? Because a lot of times when we see people attacking each other back and forth, not even necessarily in a rap battle, but this sort of tit for tat online argument, podcast war type thing that we're just sort of used to seeing, it usually feels to us like if one side is throwing fuel on the fire, then it would be difficult for them to then sue. But I mean, the litigation does seem kind of unique in a way. It's uniquely career damaging. I mean, even if we found out that one of Kendrick's kids wasn't his, I mean, really, like, what the does that change? That doesn't really change that much. It would be a strange revelation, but I mean, does that sort of back and forth nature, from your perspective, not really even come into play in this kind of situation?
Well, it's definitely going to come into play. I think the lawyers will argue that heavily, that this freestyle battle devolved into just sort of baseless allegations being thrown around. That was the context in which they were battling. That it wasn't a battle in the pure sense. It actually, as the battle progressed, was a battle of people just making shit up and saying anything they wanted about the other person.
Mm.
And so everybody kind of understood that. I don't know. I don't know that people who observed that battle, I don't know people who simply heard Not Like Us have any of that context. I do think a lot of people left that battle and left that song with this idea that Drake is a that again, that shit don't sit right with me. We're like, where do you get off saying that about somebody? They're a real is like fucked up.
Yeah. And okay, but one thing that I always run into is I'll be having this argument with people and they'll say, well, there was the video of Drake where he brought this girl who ended up being 17 on stage at a concert. It was a long time. It was like 15 years ago, 12 years ago, something like that. And he kissed her and then realized she was underage or whatever. And they use that to suggest, like, no, look, he actually is a, which from my perspective, it's like, number one, that is not what that word means. A, someone who's attracted to children, not somebody who's right at the cusp of being of age. So number one, that word would be being used completely arbitrarily there. And then in addition to that, it just seems like that. I feel like if you have to rely on that, you're basically admitting that your argument has a very weak foundation, because that's not, really what that accusation tends to entail typically.
100% agree. At the same time, I would point out that actually really stands in UMG's favor from a legal perspective,
They might end up
because
making that argument in court. Yeah.
yeah, because and that was the angle that I saw, that's the only way to defend this, that oh, he's out there with girls and sometimes they might be underage and he doesn't know. And I saw the thing about him kissing the 17-year-old at the concert. And I think that's a credible argument in court, and I think that argument will have legs in court. And I think you could definitely defend it and say, I called him a because he's kissing 17-year-olds on TV. And we all know that in the state that, I don't know this to be true, but it's possible that in the state that they were in, 17 is below the age of consent. And so, from a legal perspective, I think you could use that type of position and cover your ass. In the court of public opinion, that's a weak position. But then again, in the court of public opinion, you're defending yourself against a defamation case in a rap battle. So, I mean, there's no winners here. This just became a total trash fest.
A lot of people, their opinion is that this lawsuit, while it may have legs and it may be successful, that it is so inherently against the spirit of hip hop that Drake has committed some sort of grave sin against hip hop. Does that opinion appeal to you at all?
It would, but for the fact that hip hop is Universal Music Group. I don't know why, and a couple other labels, and I don't know why, but they are. And so, if he's going to go after them, that should be part of the culture.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, on one hand, I could see that argument. He does look like a little bit of a sore loser. But that being said, seeing him soar to the top of the charts while suing his label suggests to me that the damage that might have been done to Drake's image as a result of him participating in this lawsuit, a lot of that damage has already been done. And it's not like more damage is going to be done because of that. If anything, as we get deeper and deeper into this, Drake might end up looking like more and more of the good guy as he's able to expose more and more things that UMG does behind the scenes. Because as someone who's been up close and personal with these labels, for sure they are buying tons of fake plays on albums, on songs, and it's the kind of thing that really does need to be exposed. And even though it might be being done for selfish reasons, it does feel like a lot of good could come from this. And it's like as much as like hip hop is this thing that we all want to protect and revere, we're not really talking about that. We're talking about the dastardly deeds that these massive labels do in order to make their artists appear like they're bigger than they are, or even to do battle with other artists that they want to sort of, push down and put into a less advantageous position.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that he took a hit initially, but in the long run, he could come out golden from this. I mean, if he keeps dropping songs that are charting the way his last album charted, and if he continues to drop music that resonates with people, all will be forgiven. And certainly, he's shown if there's one thing he can do, he can drop.
Right, because like when I first heard that album, the Drake album, I didn't necessarily hear the hits. Like I think there was so many boring songs on it that I didn't really like notice that there was a couple of songs that really were standouts. But the fact that that song is doing so well, the fact that that album sold so well, and the fact that it's not even a real formal official Drake release, it was a collaborative project with another artist. I mean, that really says a lot. He had about as much damage as you could ever expect somebody to take done to their career. And, typically when that happened, like Ja Rule didn't get another number one after 50 Cent destroyed his career. There's a lot of artists like this. When they take that mortal wound, they're not able to do the thing where they go number one again. And the fact that he's been able to do so, to me, suggests that Kendrick's whole plan didn't really work out. And if the standard by which we judge both of these acts going forward is can they make really, really popular music? Well, Kendrick hasn't necessarily shown us that he can do that outside of when he's attacking Drake. So he still has something to prove. Drake really hasn't had a whole lot of W's come from being willing to go to war with Kendrick. So I do kind of feel like at the end of the day that this might sort of end with Drake looking even more bulletproof than he appeared before.
Yo, can you imagine if he takes UMG all the way and recovers like a major verdict against UMG? I think he'll own music.
Oh my God. I mean, like that reminds me of I don't know if you ever paid attention to the Nick Denton situation with Gawker and Hulk Hogan and everything like that.
Hmm.
Where basically like Hulk Hogan was able to, in partnership with Peter Thiel, take down Gawker because they had exposed Peter Thiel as a homosexual. And they he really found the perfect person to sue. They got a judgment that was so big that it actually took Gawker out. And I feel like in a lot of ways, this is kind of the music equivalent of that if it actually does go the whole way.
Yo, I could see it. I wonder if Ja Rule is calling his lawyer and be like, "Yo, you think they were conspiring to get me? Hey, it might be
24,
on."
25 years ago, I was defamed and I want my repercussions. Yes. Amazing. Okay, so you just saw the clip, but did you know that you can watch this entire interview right now before it's released to the public, uncensored, by becoming a member for just $5 a month? And there's a lot of other crazy benefits as well. So make sure you hit the link down in the description and sign up. Appreciate y'all.